Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today we are going to take a look at the Marco Tribute colored pencils. And of course I'm going to drop everything in my office because why not? It has not been a good day yet. Obviously. Oh my goodness. I have had printer problems. I have had, obviously ink issues. Yeah, I ruined my swatch chart. So yeah, this is what we get for a swatch chart because I accidentally printed on the wrong side. I did print another one and glued it together, so we will be doing the testing. However, I messed up. I do have a new mic that I am working with, so I will probably sound a little different. You're going to end up hearing little bits of ambient noises in the background. So if it gets too annoying, let me know. Like I said, this is a new mic and it's very, very sensitive from what I'm noticing. So I will try to keep things a little less. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit there so that we're not deafening you. And I will try to keep the ambient noises down to a minimum. All right, so let's take a look at the Marco Tribute. I purchased these off of Temu, and I did compare them with my 80 set that comes in the little book package with all the cute little books, and they are the same pencils. They are the exact same names, the exact same numbers, the same colors, everything else. So I did do that comparison for you. They also have a 500 set available on, not 300, sorry, a 300 set available on AliExpress. And I do believe that the 300 set, so this is the 80 set, and I do have this set as well. And I have compared them with the 80 set to verify whether or not they're the same pencils, and they definitely are. So these are the pencils in order. They come with some bonuses over here. So we have 2 black, 2 flesh, 4 blenders, and then 2 drawing pencils. The black is awesome. As you can tell, I have sharpened it and used it. I have used this one as well. I did color a page using the Marco Tribute 80 set in the Garden Lady. I just finished that yesterday, and I have posted that on Instagram. So the Tributes 80 set doesn't have this color in it, and I kind of needed this color, so I sharpened it. It also doesn't have a lot of skin tones in it, where this does make up for those light skin tones that's missing in the Tribute set, in the 80 set. So we've got our whites into our yellows, into our peaches, into our orange, into our red, into our pink, and then more pinks into our purples, and then into our blues. It does come with 2 sharpeners as well, but these are really inexpensive little throwaway sharpeners, but they do the trick if you are in a pinch. And then we have our blues into our blues into our blue greens, into our green blues, into our greens. And then from our greens into our green browns, into our browns, and then our grays. So it has a really good selection of colors. Like I said, it is a 150 pencil set. We will do a swatch. Now, the swatch is before I messed up, so you actually get a good clear view of the swatching. Yeah, you're not going to get such a clear view on my swatch today because I printed over it. I will show you here in just a few moments. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, relax. The swatch will take approximately 4 minutes because of the fact that it is, in fact, a uh, a big set of pencils. So sit back, relax, enjoy the swatch. I will be right back. All right, so that wasn't too bad. And as you can see, I have messed up my swatch chart. I accidentally printed the testing page on the wrong side of the paper. I've been having issues with my art printer because when I went to print yesterday, it decided it needed an update. So it needed a firmware update. And when I did the firmware update, it did not like me at all. And it didn't like the ink that I had in my printer and decided that none of the ink in my printer was good enough. Yeah, picky. Um, so then it decided that it wasn't going to work anymore until I got new ink. So I've ordered some new ink. I'm waiting for it to come in so that I can use that printer. Well, I have another printer. I have a Xerox printer that is a laser printer. Now, it curls my pages, and that's why I don't like using it because it likes to curl my cardstock. I don't know why, it just does. So it's like, okay, well, I need this page. So I put my swatch chart in the same way I would have in my Epson. However, it was the wrong way in the Xerox. So I ended up printing this on top of my swatches. And I'm really upset about it. It actually made me almost want to cry because I had it perfect. It looked so pretty, and now it's all covered in ink. So we're going to still use this swatch chart today. You can still see the colors for the majority. Um, and we can still talk about these colors and then work on the back side of it, which I don't know why I glued it on there. I think it's because of the curl. I took a glue stick and I glued this page on to the back so that it wouldn't curl so much and we could do our testing. Now I have done previous videos on the Marco Tribute 80 set. So it's the same set. So if you've already watched the Marco Tribute 80 set, you're going to see the same results that we saw during that testing as we should see during this testing. Now, this does have obviously way more pencils and way more colors. It has a great variance in different colors and different color families, different hues and shades. So we have our white colors, so our whites into our white yellows, into our cream, into our yellow, our peach tones, into our orange tones, and then into our red, our orange red into our red tones. And then we have our pinky peach tones. So these are more pink than peach. So I've put them down with the pinks. And then we get into our pinks, our deep pinks, and then our red violets, or our pink violets, and then into our red violets, and then into our purples. And then we have our blues. So we have our light blues into our dark blues. And then we have a set of gray blues there. Then we have our blue greens, our green blues, into our yellow greens all the way to here, and then into our true greens up through here. So this area here is more blue than yellow. This area here is more yellow than blue. And then we have our brown greens here, so our olive greens, our moss greens, that kind of thing here. And then we have our browns, so going from our yellow browns into our orange browns and red browns into our dark browns. And then we have so those are more black browns, so they've got more black than orange or red. Then we have our warm grays here, our brown grays, our grays, and then our cool grays are mixed together in here. Our slate gray and black, and then we've got a couple of metallics here at the end, which is gold and silver. So it does have a really, really good variety of colors as well as different levels and layers of shades and tones. So it does cover a lot of those areas very, very comparably. Now, this is probably going to be a little loud. Like I said, this is a brand new mic. I have not used it previously, so moving things around, I do find when I was listening that it did make a little bit more noise than I'm used to. So I'm going to try to move this as quietly as possible because yeah, this mic picks up a lot of the noise. So now we need a yellow, red, and blue. So we're going to take, we have just straight yellow. I don't think so. We have lemon yellow. And we're going to do red. I do know we have a straight red. Do our red. And then our blue. Might need to go into here. It's probably really loud. I'm sorry. I think we'll use the cerulean blue. It's the closest to a true to not a light blue and not a dark blue, in between blue, because we don't want it too dark. We don't want it too light. All right. Now let's try not to make a lot of noise putting this up. And then we're going to sharpen them. We're going to see how well they sharpen. So as you can see, this one here did get a little bit of damage. I'm not sure if that was me or shipping. I think it was probably me. Just saying. I am using the Doll 133 to sharpen these. That sharpened right out of it. So, and it did sharpen nice and clean. Now this set on Temu was, I do believe, just under $80. On AliExpress, it runs approximately $300, and the 600 set runs about $600. So they are cheaper on Temu, and they do come quite nicely packaged. So they do come in a box with foam around them and so forth. So they do have that going for them. I'm going to zoom you in so that you can see a little bit better of what I'm doing. I'm not used to hearing all the noises of the computer and everything else. So, all right. All right, so there we have our water, our smudge, our 3-color, our rainbow blend, and our blender tests. Now we're going to test these with the blender that came with them, so that we can give it a good testing. I need to move the tilt up because I really don't want to sit with my hand and arm way extended, because that's going to hurt. All right, so the first test we're going to do, of course, is our water resistance. So we're going to lay down a layer, and we're going to make sure that it's covered the same amount that we would cover if we were coloring a page. The reason for this test is to verify whether or not you can use water products such as gel pens, glitter, stickles, anything like that on top of it without moving the pigment. There's our yellow. Dust that off. Make sure that you remove any excess pigment off of the page if you are doing these tests, because it will get picked up into the brush and will actually smudge around for you if you're not careful. So make sure that you dust off your page. Now, if these do move with water, how you avoid moving them is up to you. You have a choice of different blending things, mediums, whether it be a Caran d'Ache blending stick or the blender here that comes with the Marco set, or you can use whatever blender you want, or you can go over it with a white Prismacolor and actually coat it with a layer of wax, protecting it against the water mediums. All right, so there is our layers. I did not push really hard, but I did cover as much of the tooth as I would if I was coloring the page. Now the yellow isn't moving. And I'm not scrubbing, I'm just going across it like I would if I was adding liquid mediums. The red has moved a little tiny bit, and the blue has moved a little tiny bit. So I would definitely suggest that if you are going to be using those mediums on top of your pencils, that you do so very, very gently, and make sure that you have blended or burnished the page first and coated that pencil with a bit of wax, something to protect it from the water. Now we're also going to do a smudge test. Again, this is a personal test for me. I do find that my hands like to smudge a lot of different pencils. Most of the time it is, if the pencils are water um, soluble, if they're movable with water, I do tend to smudge those pencils a lot more than if they are water resistant. So because these have moved slightly with the water, I do expect them to move with my hand. So I am going to do a smudge test to verify that, make sure that I am careful when coloring with these pencils, that I don't rub my hands across the pencil a whole lot. I do have a chemical composition in my skin that does like to break down pencils, and move them around. It's really bad with Prismas. And everybody's skin is different, so this is basically a very personal test. It may not smudge for you. It may not move at all, depending upon the composition of your skin. So this is not a professional test that will determine whether or not your pencils will move with your hand. This is just a test for myself to verify whether or not they move with my hand. All right, so I've got the pencils down, and I'm using a clean finger, and definitely moved a lot. So I would definitely have to make sure that I use a glove, or I blend those areas before I start moving my hand across them. Now, one of the ways that I avoid smudging or, you know, running with water is I tend to use a Caran d'Ache Bright Stick. The Caran d'Ache Bright Stick, I find, does have the ability to coat the area and brighten the color all at the same time. And it does coat it with a fairly good wax layer, which does make it water resistant. Now I'm going to go into my pinks here, so I'm going to be moving pencils and hopefully not making a whole lot of loud noises. And we're going to use pink, charm pink, and rose. We're going to use dark rose. So as you can see with pencils, I did not show you this, and I apologize. There are different colors on the pencils. And a friend of mine did point out to me, because she has the 300 set, that the different colored pencils are different layers of availability. Like, for example, the dark rose being in black is available in the 80 set. The white ones are the ones that are available in this set. So it does tell you which ones are available in each set. So if you have the 80 set, the dark rose will be in that set. However, the charm pink and the pink will not be. So it gives you that ability to see what colors are available in each of your sets. Now we're going to do a 3-color blend here. We're going to verify whether or not these pencils will blend together. And like I said, I have already colored with these. The Marco Grimoire tributes in the 80 set. So I do know that they blend quite nicely together. However, still have to do the test. So I'm putting down a heavier layer around the edge, and we're just bringing it into the next layers area. So this is the darker of the pink. I am going to sharpen this. Just because it's got a little bit of a dull point and it's not grabbing into the paper. Sometimes when you leave your pencils a little dull, they won't grab into that tooth very well. It won't grab into the paper very well, and it'll just glide right over top of it, leaving very little pigment. However, if you sharpen your pencil, it will grab into that paper a little bit harder and leave that pigment behind a little bit better. So I find it's very important to maintain a sharp point to your pencil to cut into that paper just a little bit to be able to leave that pigment behind. Again, going quite dark on the end and then just dragging that out just a little bit, giving us a little bit of a tail for the next color to blend into. And hopefully you guys can't hear my fan really bad. I'm not sure how bad it is. All right. So as you can see, the difference between the two layers, this layer out here, I've used a sharper pencil than the layer on the inside. So it's a little bit darker than the layer on the inside. And that's because of the pencil grabbing hold of that tooth a little bit better and giving us a better layer of pencil. Again, sharpen this one. And we're just going to go into that lighter area. And we're just going to blend them together. Dragging that out. Into the area where we're going to start adding that lighter color. However, we still want this color to be dark enough that you can see a gradient between the two. And as you can tell, the area back here that the darker color was still dull is showing lighter than this area here where that pencil was sharpened. And then we're just going to start bringing that in with just a light layer for the next color to blend into. And this is going to give us our gradient blend going from dark, medium to light. And allowing the pencils to have that color change. All right, the next color we're going to use is the pink. So that one was the Charm Pink, and this one here is the pink. And I'm going to go into the Charm Pink with the pink. And then into the open space. So it definitely does blend well together. And I am getting a not nice smooth blend. I'm not getting a hard start and stop blend, which is great. And it is moving the colors together and works really, really well. All right, so it does do a very nice three color blend there. Yeah. Now we're going to take our red, blue, and green, and we're going to do a rainbow blend. What a rainbow blend is taking your primary colors, blending them together one by one to create other colors such as orange and green. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with our red, and we're going to go a little heavier handed here because we want this to have the red color. So we want it to start with red, and then we're going to bring that red in a little, add a lighter saturation, and then we're going to bring in the yellow. Now we're going to start back here with the yellow so that when we bring in the blue, we don't have red mixed into the yellow, giving us orange. So here's our yellow into our red, but first we're going to lay down our yellow area. Let's try to make it fairly even. Now we're going to start coming into our red. Now the lighter pencils will pick up the darker pigment and move them together. So you have to be a little bit careful when you're doing this on your page and that sort of thing, that you make sure that you wipe off your pencil so that you don't drag that color into a different area. So as you can see, this area here has a dark red orange in this area. Now the area next to it where there's more yellow than red, I'm going to go over that with the red, and we're going to see a yellow orange. So that should be a lighter orange in this area because the yellow is dominant, where in the other area, the red is going to be dominant. So if you have more yellow in an area compared to red, you're going to find that you have more of a yellow orange instead of a red orange. And they definitely do change the color. There is definitely orange in both the red orange as well as the yellow orange. So definitely does have orange. Now we're going to add the blue. Now we're going to start at the end here, and we're going to add the blue, and then we're going to come into there with the green, the yellow to create green. I'm going to make sure I have a good layer of the blue to make sure it looks blue. And then we're going to start moving into that yellow. Now, because the yellow is down first and we're blending into that yellow, we're going to get more of a yellow green than a blue green. We're going to blend it with the yellow again and make sure that I wipe the red off of my pencil so that I'm not creating brown, basically. So as you can see there, we've got that yellow green. Now we're going to take that yellow and we're going to move into the blue, where it's going to be more of a darker green because of the fact that the blue is there. Instead of having a yellow base, having the blue base gives us that darker green. Now I'm just going to go over that, make sure that I fill in all the white spots on the blue. And there we have our darker green as well. Because this is a lighter blue, it's a lighter blue green instead of a darker. So it definitely did do the rainbow blend. We have red orange, we have yellow orange, we have yellow green, blue green, and then of course blue. Now, if I extend the blue out this way, and I know I don't normally do this, but I just want to see. So if we extend the blue out this way, and then we add the red to the blue, we end up with violet. We're going to add some more blue. And a little bit more red. I don't want it that dark. I want it to be more of a red violet. So there we have our purple as well. So it definitely does combine to create other colors, which is absolutely wonderful. So that tells me that I can definitely color an entire page with a 3-color blend or a 4-color blend and still get that um, that ability to mix and create other colors. Now we're going to do our blender test, and we are going to use the Marco Renoir Tributes blender. So as you can see here, it is a Masters Collection blender by Marco uh, for the Tribute brand. Now, one of the reasons why I always suggest if it comes with a blender, if the company has a blender, it is great to use that blender with those pencils because it is created without color, without pigment, but with the same wax composition as the pencils themselves. So if you have a uh, blender that comes with your pencils or a blender that is available for that specific brand of pencils, try the blender with those pencils and see how it does. So far, the only one that I have found that really does not work with the pencils that it's created for is the Prisma Premier blender. I find that that blender does just scrape up the color or the wax and leave some of the pink pigment staining behind. It doesn't really do what you would expect a blender to do. It doesn't move the color and create a good a good blend. Now we're going to do this 2 different ways. We're going to use the Marco blender, but we're also going to use the Caran d'Ache Bright Stick because this is one of my favorite blenders and it is one that I use a lot. It is the first one I'll grab to if my brain isn't fully functioning that day. It will be the first one I grab to. So I always test that blender with the pencils to make sure that they're going to work well with that blend with that pencil. Another thing I did want to state is the Marco Tribute pencils are an oil-based pencil. They do have a mixture of wax and oil. Of course, all pencils do. However, with an oil-based pencil, you will find that the ratio of wax to oil is higher on the oil side than it is on the wax side. And the wax is a little bit of a harder wax than, say, Prisma Premiers or Artex or um, that sort of thing. And it has about the same depth of stiffness as the Sharpie Farben, the Burkiner squares, that sort of thing, where it is a soft wax, but it's not a smushing wax. It is definitely a layering wax. I would not smush these pencils. They will eat your pencil up, and you will find that you're taking up the tooth of the page and not able to get a blendability of your pencils. So what I'm doing is I'm just layering these pencils together, getting that blend put together. What we're going to do with the blender is we're going to see if we can remove any harsh lines that are there, as well as any white spot that is left behind. Now, it is always suggested, if you don't enjoy the white spot or don't want the white spot in the page that you're working on, that you um, add more pencil to the page for the blender to grab hold of and blend. Now, you can usually cover up most of the white spot on a page with the colored pencils, and it is usually suggested to use the lightest pencil possible. However, I do find that sometimes you get to a point where you are, sorry for that, where you are at the saturation point of your page, and you don't want that color to be any higher. So I'm going to sharpen this pencil. It's going to be loud, so I apologize. A little bit sharper than that. This might fix up everything. So we're going to start at the lightest color and we're going to move down to the dark. And we're only going to blend half of this. And then we're going to blend the bottom half with the Caran d'Ache blender. So as you can see, it does move that pigment and it does cover the white spot. It is moving the darker pigment into that lighter pigment, but it isn't completely removing that hard line between the lighter color and the darker color. But it is blending it and getting rid of the white spot. Now we're going to try that with the Caran d'Ache. We're going to start in the white, or light, I should say, not in the white. And we're going to move into that medium tone and then into the darker tone. And as you can see, the Caran d'Ache does blend that together just a little bit more, eliminating a little bit more of that line. However, that line is not completely eliminated, and you may have to go over it a couple of times and add a little bit more color each time just so that you can blend those colors together. But both blenders did quite well on the page itself, on the pigment itself. So definitely either one will work just fine. Now, the one thing that I do want to verify is whether or not, if I use this blender, if it's going to add that water resistance that this blender does. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the Caran d'Ache Bright Stick, is it does give me that ability to use watercolor pigments as well as stickles and water-based products on top of my coloring without moving the pigment around, because it does put a little bit of a water resistance barrier on the pigment and gives us that ability to do so. Now again, I'm just covering the entire area, blending all of those colors in. There are some of the colors are a little bit thinner in depth of pigment on the page, but should not make a difference. Now, of course, lighter colors are going to bleed a lot less than darker colors because they do have a higher ratio of wax to pigment than the darker colors are, like reds, blues, and that sort of thing. So it may not move it at all, even without having the blender on there. And as you can see with the blender on top of it, it's not moving whatsoever. And that's with the Marco Tribute blender. It didn't move at all. Now we're going to do the same thing over here, and we're going to blend this red and this blue because both of those did move with the water. So we're going to do the same thing over here, and we're going to just cover and blend this whole area. And then we will try the blender on top, or the water on top of it, and see if it moves. And then our blue as well. Now I am blending into the purple as well as the green, so that if I do get water on those areas, it doesn't run into the blue. All right, so we're going to come over here, and there's no movement in the red. We're going to come up here, and there's no movement in the blue. So it does, blending it does give a bit of water resistance to the pigment, which is really, really good. And that's blending with the blender that comes with the pencils. So that's really cool too. Now, another way to blend, if your pencils don't come with a blender itself, another way you can blend is with the white. Now, one of the things I will warn you about blending with white, and I do warn you every single time I do a video, and yes, I probably do sound like a broken record when it comes to comes to these tests. Um, but one of the reasons why I do repeat it over and over again is because I have had people tell me that they've blended with the white, and like I suggested, and it ruined their page because it was too opaque. No, yeah, too opaque, and it changed the color of their page. Now, if your white is very opaque and shows very white on color, you will find that it will change the color of your pencil. Now, if your white is extremely translucent, you may see very little change in your color, but it will blend really, really well. Now, the white in this one does have quite a high level of opacity. So it is very opaque. It is going to show as white on top of black. So I assume that when I put this on top of this darker color, it's going to dull down that color quite a bit. Now I am using the white pencil, as you can see. So this is actually going to tone this color down, but it's also going to blend it. So as you can see, now I have a much lighter pink than I started with. But it has moved that pencil around. It actually blended it quite a bit better, I think, than the blender did. However, in comparison between this color and this color is much more deeper than this color. And that's just because the white has blended into the pink, creating a lighter pink, which you would expect with a white pencil. It should, when it blends into red, it should create a pink. When it blends into a yellow, it should create a cream, that sort of thing. But as you can see with the red, it has dulled that red down quite a bit too. So it will dull down. It will not completely eliminate the color, of course, but it will dull it down. Even on top of an area that has been blended, you can obviously see that it does cover up the white spot, and it does blend it a little bit more, but it does take that color down to almost the same color as your gradient color. So be aware of that with these pencils and other pencils as well. If you haven't tested them on the whiteness of your white, and you go to blend with it, and it changes the color of your page, of your area, then your white is too white. There are a few different pencils, pencil companies out there that have a really opaque white. Prismacolor is one, Derwent has one, Caran d'Ache, Holbein, and quite a few others, where the white is opaque enough that it's going to show really heavy as a white on the darker colors. So, for example, in here, you can still see the change there, but on the black, you can see it as white. Now, this is not as opaque as, say, the Prismacolor white or the China white or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot of highlights with this. However, when you add white to the page to put in the highlight, like say here we have a highlight that we want to put in. I didn't wipe off the pencil. Make sure you wipe off your pencil. I didn't wipe off the pencil, so there's a bit of a grain in there. But there's my white. And when I come over top of that, say I come over top of that with this pink, it's going to show as a white line. So when I do my highlight, I can add that highlight in and then go over top of it, and it's going to show up as a white line. It's not going to show up as a light pink. It's going to show up as white. So definitely does do the job of a white pencil, but it also does the job of a blender. However, you will find that the blend is dulled down quite a bit. Now, cost per pencil, it's 150 pencils. And I'm going to move a couple of things here. So there might be a little bit of noise. And we're going to do a quick refresher on how much they actually cost and divide that by the pencil. Now, this is a 150 set. And we want to go here. Here. I'm going to verify the price on Temu that I paid. Now, this may not be the same price now that they were then. So I paid $74.35. So 74. So it's even less than I thought. So 74.35. And like I said, on AliExpress they run about $250 to $300. So a much better buy on Temu. Now the links on Temu, because I'm not an affiliate or in any way affiliated with Temu, the links are really long. So pasting those links below the video is really difficult because I only have so much space below the video to actually put a link. So, or to put any information. And I have a lot of information below my videos. So there is limited space on whether or not I can actually fit those in. So if you don't see a link there, just search for the Marco Master Series 150 colored pencils on Temu, and it will actually bring this set up. Now again, I'm just going to click on it and see if it's gone up. Now it has gone up since I purchased them to $82.48. But like I said, there are so many different discounts and that available for Temu that it will probably be a little bit cheaper depending upon your discounts and that sort of thing. So I paid $74.35 for them. And now we're going to take a look at the breakdown of costs. So it's 150. It is 74.35 divided by 150. So it works out to less than 50 cents a pencil. I think that's really, really good. Equals, and of course, my pen is not going to want to work, 49 cents. My pen has decided that it does not like me, so we'll use a pencil instead. So 49 cents per. So I think that gives us a really, really good cost per pencil. And they're a really nice set of pencils. They have our lemon yellow. It does have a name, a number. The pigmentation of the pencil is really, really nice. And they are extremely smooth on cardstock. I have not tried them on coloring book paper, but I have tried them on, well, I have actually colored on coloring book paper with another, with the other set. So I do apologize. My phone is ringing and it can go to voicemail. So I do believe the cost per pencil is really, really good if you purchase these on Temu. They are not available on Amazon, so you won't find this set on Amazon. You will find the 80 set on Amazon, but the 150 set is still not available on Amazon. Now, the color selection of 150 pencils and the amount of different colors and different gradients and everything else in each color family, I find is really, really good. So I'm going to give it 5 stars as well. The color saturation, also giving it 5 stars because they are really, really, really pigmented. I have not had a single pencil that does not put out a really good layer of color right off the bat. Now, open stock, unfortunately, you can buy smaller sets to replenish. However, I don't believe that I have not found anywhere that they're open stock. If you do find these pencils open stock, please let me know. It would be something that would be definitely worth knowing. I have looked and I have not found the availability. However, like I said, you can replenish with smaller sets. And it does tell you in your set just with a color variation of the name and number on whether or not that's available in a smaller set. All right, so we're going to do our marks here. So I would say they're fairly water resistant. They just moved just a slight bit, so I'm going to give that a half mark. They did smudge, which I'm going to make sure that they lose marks for smudging. They do color blend, so I'm giving it a full mark for that. They do a rainbow blend very nicely, so I'm giving a full mark for that. They also blend with the Tribute blender as well as the Caran d'Ache blender, and they do blend with the white. So we're going to add this up. So we've got 4.5, 19.5, so 20.5 out of 25. I think that is pretty good, good ratio. I think that's a really, really high number. They do say that these are light resistant, so they do have a light fast rating. However, it does not make a difference to me. The light fast rating is on the Marco Tribute site, on the Marco site, but it does not give me any information the um, on any of the on any of the information that comes with it because it is all in Asian. So, uh, so unfortunately, I can't tell you whether or not they're light resistant. However, or light fast, I should say. However, that makes very little difference to me. So again, I find that the Marco Tribute set is a really, really nice set of pencils. Um, they blend really, really pretty together. They do have a really, really soft core, which does give the ability to blend those colors together, but not so soft that you have to smush. So it does give you that layerability as well as the blendability of a nice um, oil-based pencil. The light or the color selection that you have in this set is absolutely phenomenal. Again, I find that the even with my markings all over it, I find that the amount of colors and the amount of variations between the colors does give you a really good selection of gradient colors. So even though these are fairly close, they still have a gradient ability. So you can gradiate from light, medium to dark and still have the same color family there. So I really like that. So yeah, other than that, other than the fact that they are a little bit smudge, that they're a little bit smudgeable, so they smudge with my hands. There's the words I want. Other than that, I find that pretty much passed every single test. I did take away some marks on the water resistance because even though they only moved a small amount, they still moved. And even a small amount sometimes can be problematic, especially if you're doing a heavy water background with watercolors and that sort of thing. All right, so that is it for my thoughts, feelings, and whatnot on the Marco tribute. And they are a grimoire pencil. And I find that they are page here. They do color beautifully. Now, this is not typical coloring book paper, but I did color in the Garden Lady by Lana Green with this set of pencils. And I do feel that it did very, very well. The colors are bright. They blended very, very nicely together. The blender did fantastic job of filling in that white spot and cleaning all of the areas up so that they're nice and bright. So I do feel that they did a beautiful job on the coloring book paper itself. So if you are a fan of Temu and you do purchase things on Temu, I do suggest, and I have suggested in my Temu haul video, don't use the app. The app is a trap. Don't do it. Um, do try to purchase through your Temu desktop, going to the website. If you do use the app on your cell phone, you do have the availability of more of discounts and that sort of thing. Just stay away from the games. They're a trap. They're horrible. I have never spent so much money trying to get a game finished. It's just not even. I'm not even talking about it. Stay away from the games on the app. Nothing is ever free. You end up spending thousands of dollars just to get, your fish fed. So stay away from it. All right, guys. With that, I would like to say thank you all very much for watching. Again, if you have any suggestions or problems with the new microphone, please let me know. I am going to review the video and see if it sounds okay enough to publish. Maybe. We'll see. It may be a little loud, it may be a little quiet. Just let me know and I can adjust accordingly. Because sometimes my hearing and your hearing are completely different. So if I listen to it at the level that I would normally listen to it, it may not be the level that you would normally listen to it. So it may be a difference of turning up or turning down your speakers, headsets, and that sort of thing. It may also be that I need to turn the mic down. So let me know what you think in the comments below the video. Until next time, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye bye for now.